I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there will be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
Tiffany Henyard making a late appearance at the Dolton Village Board meeting this evening. That meeting was being held at the Park District building since Village Hall cannot legally accommodate the crowds at a typical meeting.
Let's dive into one of the most jaw-dropping political scandals that's shaking up a small town in Illinois. Mayor Tiffany Henyard, once celebrated for her groundbreaking election as the first female mayor of Dolton, now finds herself in the middle of a storm that's as dramatic as it gets. From legal battles to courtroom bombshells and even accusations of corruption, this story has everything. And trust us, you're not going to believe what's been happening.
You got the clickbait, huh? All right. I guess anything else? I get sued all the time. Y'all, stop it.
So who exactly is Tiffany Henyard, and how did things spiral out of control? Henyard burst onto the scene as a dynamic leader, full of ambition and promise. She had big dreams for Dolton, a small village in Illinois, and made headlines for breaking through political barriers. But things took a wild turn when allegations of corruption and financial mismanagement began to surface, throwing her administration into chaos. And now, with court cases piling up, trustees fighting back, and even her personal life being dragged into the spotlight, it seems Henyard's political career might be hanging by a thread. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with how this all began.
Very appreciative to receive the information today. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 1993.
Just when people thought local government meetings couldn't get any more boring, Dolton turned them into must-see drama. At the center of it all, Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Every single meeting seems to devolve into a spectacle, with tensions running high and trustees at each other's throats. So what was supposed to be a routine board meeting turned into a fiasco when Henyard decided she'd hold her own meeting at Village Hall, despite the fact that state regulations had already ruled that the venue was too small to accommodate the crowd. She's been pushing for meetings to stay at Village Hall, even though everyone else has moved them to the local Park District building, which has way more space for the public. Why would she insist on staying in such a small venue, you ask? Well, many believe it's all about control. Henyard wants to be in charge, and by keeping things close to her, she's trying to maintain a grip on the power dynamics in Dolton.
Last month, the judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
During one of these infamous meetings, Henyard showed up late to the Park District venue, and it did not go well. So picture this, she walks in, and immediately the room erupts with boos. Yep, the booed out of her own town's meeting. According to witnesses, she tried to make some sort of grand speech, announcing, "I am the mayor of the village of Dolton," but it only made things worse. The crowd wasn't having it, with some residents even turning their backs on her as she spoke. After just 7 awkward minutes, she stormed out, and the sarcastic cheers from the crowd were impossible to ignore. And guess what? This isn't the first time Henyard's been met with this kind of hostility.
This lawsuit, on top of all the other lawsuits, is a waste of the taxpayers' money.
Trustees, led by Jason House, have been vocal in their frustrations with Henyard, accusing her of blatantly ignoring open meeting laws and trying to manipulate the system. The Illinois Attorney General even got involved, stating that the meetings needed to be held in bigger events to avoid violating transparency laws. But Henyard has been stubborn, filing a lawsuit against the trustees and the Park District, claiming that the meetings at the Park District are illegal. Her argument: she believes Village Hall should be the official location for all meetings, no matter how many people want to attend. It's clear that Henyard sees herself as a defiant leader, standing up against what she claims is a corrupt board of trustees. She said it herself, accusing them of trying to undermine her leadership. In fact, in one of her fiery statements, Henyard didn't hold back, calling the entire board corrupt and insisting that they were playing games with the residents of Dolton. But here's the thing, while Henyard is busy pointing fingers, it seems like the majority of Dolton's residents and even some of her own supporters are starting to turn against her.
I'm a private investigator. I've got some books as super mayor. Inside I have from the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois.
And that's just the beginning. Things have taken an even more serious turn with mounting legal tensions around Henyard's actions. She recently filed a lawsuit against the trustees, accusing them of holding illegal meetings. Her attorney, Max Solomon, has been vocal about their belief that the meetings were improperly called and improperly held. But the legal system doesn't seem to be on Henyard's side. A Cook County judge has already. You ruled against her on several key issues, including her attempt to appoint her own police chief, village administrator, and village attorney. According to the judge, Henyard overstepped her authority by trying to make these appointments without board approval, a decision that she's been fighting ever since.
Of court, the judge today declining to hold her in contempt, but did warn her that if she did not follow the ruling, he would.
To make matters worse, there's also talk of an FBI investigation into Henyard's conduct. Yes, you heard that right, things have escalated to a federal level. Allegations of financial mismanagement, shady contracts, and improper use of municipal funds have all come to light. And this is where the story gets really juicy. You see, Henyard's own boyfriend, yes, her romantic partner has reportedly turned against her in court. Can you imagine? The person who's supposed to be her biggest ally is now dishing out details that could end her career for good.
This administration is shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching the fall of this administration.
In a shocking courtroom twist, Henyard's boyfriend took the stand and spilled all kinds of tea about what's been going on behind the scenes. According to his testimony, Henyard was allegedly involved in some seriously sketchy financial dealings. We're talking bribes, favoritism, and even accusations that she used public funds for personal expenses, including lavish vacations and luxury items. His testimony painted a picture of a mayor who seemed more interested in benefiting herself and her inner circle than in running the village. And it's not just him saying it, court documents and witness reports have backed up many of his claims, making this one of the most scandalous political cases in recent memory.
Also new tonight, Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is suing some village trustees over Monday's meeting.
Residents of Dolton are understandably outraged. Social media has been flooded with comments from people demanding answers and calling for Henyard's resignation. Some have taken to calling her a dictator, while others are expressing disbelief that she's still in office. One commenter put it bluntly, Tiffany Henyard got handed a big piece of the pie, and instead of putting in the hard work to succeed, she rubbed her own face in it and paid people to tell her how good she looked doing it. Ouch, that's got to sting.
Next thing is my vetoes. So I got several vetoes here that the board
Here's the kicker. Despite all these allegations, some people still don't believe Henyard will ever face real consequences. In fact, another fan commented, still don't think she will serve a day in prison. And honestly, it's hard to say what's going to happen next. Henyard has a history of fighting back and framing herself as the victim of a political smear campaign. She's repeatedly denied the accusations, claiming that her enemies are trying to take her down. And let's be real, politics can be a dirty game. So who knows what's really going on behind the scenes? Henyard's legal team has been pushing the narrative that all these accusations are politically motivated. So they argue that the timing of the claims just months before a major election is too convenient to be a coincidence. According to them, this is all part of a larger effort to ruin Henyard's career and keep her from being re-elected. But while her team is focused on damage control, the trustees and residents of Dolton seem more concerned about the future of their village.
Board meetings, one held at Village Hall, one held at a park district, and now there's a lawsuit, and I talked to the attorneys for both sides.
And who can blame them? The implications of Henyard's actions are far-reaching. Not only is Dolton's local government in turmoil, but the financial stability of the entire village is now in question. With accusations of financial mismanagement hanging over her head, there's growing concern that the village could be facing some serious economic consequences. If the allegations are true, Henyard's misuse of funds could have drained resources that were meant to support vital community services, leaving Dolton in a vulnerable position.
But the administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily...
It's also worth mentioning that this isn't the first time Henyard has been accused of overstepping her authority. The restraining order that was issued against her, barring her from making key appointments without board approval, was a major red flag for many residents. And yet, Henyard has continued to defy the court's orders, seemingly unbothered by the consequences. She's been described as walking on a tightrope, with one misstep threatening to send her straight into legal trouble, possibly even jail time. But so far, she's managed to keep going, even as the pressure mounts.
2 agendas, 2 meetings in different locations. It was a little confusing for some residents, but the meeting here at Village Hall canceled after a few minutes because they didn't have a quorum.
What was truly baffling is that Henyard seems to be daring the court to take action. Despite repeated warnings from the judge, she's continued to surround herself with people who shouldn't even be in Village Hall. Some of these individuals have been named in restraining orders, while others have been laid off but still manage to show up for work every day. The whole situation is wild, to say the least. It's almost as if Henyard is challenging the legal system, daring them to make a move.
I want to thank my 2 trustees, Trustee Andrew Holmes and Trustee Stan Brown, for showing up.
But at what cost? The residents of Dolton are fed up with the chaos. They're tired of the political games, the lawsuits, and the infighting. They want stability, and right now, it feels like they're not getting that from their local government. Henyard's insistence on doing things her way, regardless of what the law says, has only deepened the divide between her and the trustees, making it nearly impossible for the village to move forward. In the middle of all this, Trustee Jason House has emerged as one of Henyard's most vocal critics. So he's been leading the charge to hold meetings at the Park District, citing the need for transparency and open access for the public. House has accused Henyard of deliberately trying to limit public participation by insisting on holding meetings at Village Hall, where space is limited. It's a battle of wills, with House and the other trustees pushing for accountability while Henyard digs her heels in, determined to do things her way. As we wrap up this wild ride, here are a couple of questions to ponder. Will Tiffany Henyard finally face the consequences of her actions? Or will she somehow manage to wiggle her way out of this mess? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of Dolton? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.